Hello, my name is Dinnersaur, and this game is Everlasting Summer, Russian visual novel that takes place in the Soviet era, and don't know much beyond that. But, I guess that's why I'm playing it now. Alright, kill me. New game. I was having that dream once again. That dream. Same thing every night. But it's all forgotten in the morning, as usual. Maybe it's for the best. Only a glimpse of memory will remain, of gates, half opened, as if inviting me somewhere, with two frozen stone pioneers standing close by. And also that strange girl, who keeps asking me, asking you what? Well, will you come with me? No. Come? But where? And why? And where am I anyway? Of course, if it all happened in real life, I would certainly have been scared. What else would one expect to feel? But this is just a dream. The same one I see every night. There must be a reason. You don't have to know where or why to realize something is really happening. Something desperately seeking my attention. Since everything that surrounds me here is real. As real as things in my own flat. I could open the gates, hear the hinges creak, brush the crumbling rust away with my hand, inhale the fresh, cool air, and shiver down the cold. I could, but to do that, I would need to pick myself up, take a step, move my hand. But this is a dream. I understand that. But what of it? What does my understanding change? Because here, it's just like on the other side of a cracked screen of an old TV, which struggles to fight against static noise and strives to show its audience everything without missing a single detail. But the picture is getting blurry. I must be waking up soon. Maybe I should ask her something. The girl. What's her name? About the stars, for instance. Why the stars, though? I'd rather ask about the gates. Yes, the gates. She would be so surprised. Or better, why the dot over an I was called a title, but the dot over the J was called a superscript dot. Nice letters. As if they don't exist anymore. Still, what do letters, gates, and stars have to do with this place? Because even if I'm having this dream every night, which will be forgotten soon anyway, I've got to look for answers here and now. And there, if you look carefully, you can see the Magellanic clouds. I'm going to be butchering a lot of these words, and some of them are probably going to be in Russian or Russian style or something. I don't know. I can just see it already. As if I'd ended up in the southern hemisphere. In a dream, there are the small things that catch your attention. The unnatural color of grass, impossible curves of straight lines, or your own distorted reflection, while the real danger, which could put an end to everything right here and now, seems trivial. It's natural. It's natural. Since here you cannot die. I know it for sure. I've done it hundreds of times. Same. But if you cannot die, is there a point in living? I should ask the girl. She's a local. She would know. Yes, exactly. I should ask her about the owl, for example. What a strange bird it is. Though, it doesn't matter. Will you come with me? And every time I have to answer. It's the only way. Otherwise the dream will never end, and I will never wake up. Oh, where? Straight away a question. Yes, I'll come with you, or no, I'll stay here. I'm good here. Every time it's so hard to decide on the answer. Not really. Where am I? What am I doing here? Who is she? And why does so much in my life depend on this answer? Or maybe it doesn't. It's just a dream after all. Just a dream. I have a feeling it's got to become reality soon. It's a game after all. Ooh. Okay. Oh my. I just thought it was on that computer monitor. God dang it. Oh man. The computer screen stared at me as if it was alive. Sometimes it really did seem to me that it was conscious itself, and its own thoughts and wishes, ambitions, that it had feelings, could love and suffer. As if in our relationship, the screen wasn't an instrument, it was me who was lifeless piece of plastic and textolite, I don't know. There was some truth in that, probably because the computer provides 90% of my communication with the outside world. Same with me, man. Anonymous image boards, some chats from time to time, rarely ICQ or Jabber, and forums even more rarely. People on the other end of the internet cable simply do not exist. All of them are simply creations of its sick imagination, an error in the source code or a kernel bug, which started living a life on its own. What is that? That a light on a ceiling? Oh, yeah, it is. If one looked at my existence from the outside, such thoughts would seem crazy, and a psychologist would surely give me a bunch of sophisticated diagnostics and maybe write me a doctor's referral to the loony bin. That is some bright light from outside. A small apartment with no signs of repair or any semblance of order in it, and always the same view out the window on the gray megalopolis running somewhere day and night. Such are the conditions of my life. I like the soundtrack so far. Well, of course it didn't start like this. I was born, went to school, and finished it, like all the others. I was accepted at a university where I spent a year and a half trailing behind and struggling, like I am with these words. I drifted through several jobs. Sometimes it was working out quite well, sometimes I was even getting decent money for it. But it all felt like it was not mine, as if taken from another man's biography. I wasn't living life to the fullest. It was looping over and over in monotonous circles I cannot read for the life of me. Like that movie Groundhog Day. That was a good movie. It's just that I had no choice in how to spend my day, and every day repeated itself. The same vicious spiral. A spiral of emptiness, misery, and despair. For the last few years, I just sat in front of a screen all day. Sometimes there were menial jobs. Sometimes my parents helped me. All in all, I was able to provide for myself. No wonder, really, since my needs were quite minor. I hardly ever leave my home. My communication with other people mostly exclusively consists of online correspondence with the anonymous, who have no real name, no gender, no age. So in brief, a quite typical life of a quite typical antisocial person of this time. I can agree with that. Kind of Donnie Darko on a minor scale, without doomsday related visions. Maybe some highly respected author, some way to spell author, will write a novel about me, and it will become a contemporary classic of modern literature. Or I will write one myself. However, what's the point of fooling myself? I tried many times, but couldn't even come up with a simple short story. I tried to learn many other things as well. Not gifted enough to draw, programming, got bored, foreign languages, takes too much time. The only thing I loved doing was reading, but still I never would have called myself a scholar. Perhaps I was an ace at watching anime and a grandmaster of lame internet jokes. If I were to get paid for it, I would probably be a happier person, and a rich person too. But I doubt it would fill the hole inside of me. Today was another typical day of a typical failure's typical life. Typically. And today is the day when I have to go to my university reunion. Frankly speaking, I really didn't want to. What is the point? The time I spent with them was so short. However, I was persuaded by a friend, my former university mate and one of the few with whom I kept in touch with other than through the internet. Sorry. There's some nice art so far. So I'm gonna guess the main characters are roughly 25, 27-ish. He looks pretty old. Probably older than 20. A frosty evening. Bus stop, waiting. I never liked winter, though hot summer is not my season either. It's just that I see no reason to point out any particular time of the year. It doesn't matter much what the weather is outside when you stay at home 24/7. Agreed. The bus today was running so late that I was about to curse it all and spend my last few hundred rubles for a taxi. The idea of just returning home didn't cross my mind for some reason. As usual, millions of thoughts flew through my mind, but there was not a single useful one to seize on. Such a thought that you could bring into existence, give a shape, turn into an idea, and put into practice. Maybe I can start my own business, but where would I get the money from? Or maybe I can go back to working in an office? No way. Maybe I should try freelancing. But what skills do I have, and who would want me after all? I suddenly remembered my childhood, or rather, my teen years, the time when I was 15 to 17 years old. Why exactly those years? No idea. I guess it's because back then, everything was much more simple. It was easier to make decisions, so complicated now, and so simple then. Waking up in the morning, I knew exactly how my day was going to pass, and I always eagerly looked forward to the weekend. Then I could get some rest and have time for things I like. Computer, football, going out with friends. And then, at the beginning of the next week, I'd take up my studies again. Back then, there were no such worrying questions like why, who needs it, what will change if I do it, or what will not change. A simple lifestyle, so casual for any normal person, and so odd to myself today. That careless childhood age. It was also then that I met my first love. Her appearance and personality have vanished from my memory. Only her name remains, like a brief line from a social network profile, along with the feelings which overwhelmed me when I was with her. Affection, tenderness, and desire to care for her and to protect her. Sadly, it didn't last long. Today I can hardly imagine something like that happening. I would probably like to meet a girl, but I don't know how to start a conversation. What on earth to discuss and how to attract her. Well, I haven't met any suitable girls for a long time, but where could I meet one anyway? You can go to a lot of places. Clubs, stuff like that. The sound of an engine brought me back to reality. A bus pulled over. There was something abnormal about it, though. Then again, it doesn't matter. Only the 410 runs this route. Aboard the Magic School Bus. Street lights pass me by. It's as if their cold light sparks inside me, trying to ignite feelings long dead. Or maybe not ignite, just awaken them. Because those feelings, they have been living in me for a long time, slumbering and waking up again. The driver's radio was playing some very familiar tune, but I wasn't listening to it. I was watching the cars pass by through the fogged-up window. Because people are always rushing somewhere, chasing something they need, stuck in their own little worlds. Why would they care about mine? They probably have their own serious problems, or maybe they have much easier lives. You can't know for sure, since all people are different. Or are they? Sometimes someone's actions can easily be predicted, but if you try to look inside his soul, you will only see impenetrable darkness. The bus was approaching downtown, and my thoughts were interrupted by the bright city lights. Hundreds of billboards, thousands of cars, millions of people. I watched this light show, and somehow I got terribly sleepy. My eye closed just for a moment, and then... probably should save it. Then he got mugged on a bus. Or an intro can come up, either one. The art style is amazing. Oh, these pictures are what could happen? I know there are different routes. But everlasting summer in Russian. Day 1. That was a really good intro. Can't lie. Bright daylight struck my eyes. At first I didn't pay attention, as I wasn't fully awake yet, but their own on their own. My legs carried me towards the door. Okay, my name is like Simeon, or Samion, I don't know. Damn, looks like I fell asleep again, and looks like I fell asleep and missed my stop. But there was no door. I looked around the bus and realized that it wasn't a good, old, worn-out Liaz. Instead, the bus was an Icarus model, a new one. I froze in shock. How? What? Am I dead? Have I been kidnapped? No, I must be dead. I patted myself down feverishly, slapped myself painfully in the face a few times, banged my forehead on the back of one of the bus seats. It's clear. Either I'm still alive, or you can still feel pain when you're dead. But how could this happen? Maybe I slept for too long and ended up at the bus depot. And then what? Did they put me onto another bus? That would be humorous. I rushed out and took a look around. Greenery wherever I looked. Tall grass on the roadside, trees, flowers. Summer! But how? It was winter just a moment ago. My head was aching unbearably, as if it was going to explode. You did hit your head on the chair before. Whatever. Slowly I began to remember. A long road running off into the distance. Forest, plains, fields, lakes, and forests again. I think I was sleeping, but then how can I remember all of it? And then, a gap. Some girl leaning over me. She softly whispered something into my ear. Then a gap again. And then I woke up here. Who was that strange girl? Or was she just a dream? For some reason, thinking about her made me feel better and calm down a little. I felt warmth all over, coming from the inside. Could it be her who brought me here? Then I need to find her. And the best place to look for her is away from here. I rushed to the left, then to the right, then stopped, hesitating over where to go. Finally, I ran in the direction from which the bus had probably came. Went left, right, spun around 3 times. Step on your right foot, don't forget it. Physical exercise does refresh one's mind. Thoughts become clearer, and it gets a little easier to evaluate the surrounding reality. Not in my case, however. I was sitting on the roadside, wheezing and trying to ease my sore throat by gulping breaths of hot air. In any case, the run did its job. The fear withdrew for a while. Maybe I really am just dreaming? Though, recalling my self-harm on the bus, immediately rejected the idea. I am neither dreaming nor dead. A narrow road ran through the field and far into the distance. That exact same road from the dream. I must be very far away from home. And it's not just that it was winter yesterday and it's summer now. It's the whole environment. Of course, summer is usually like this, green and hot, but here everything is not entirely lifelike. Everything looks like it was taken from the paintings of Russian landscape artists of the 19th century. The grass is just too lush. The bushes are not like what bushes should be. They are so thick that you can't see anything through them, like treetops, honestly. And the trees themselves, the forest was quite far away, but the trees looked as if they had closed their ranks and were now just waiting for the order to advance onto fields and plains. I caught my breath and looked at the bus, which was now barely visible. That was a good run. Fear overtook me once again. Those power lines. There must be people here. What does it mean? In fact, that means nothing at all. Couldn't they have power lines even in hell? Yep. Roasting sinners over hot coals? That's so last century. I must have reached the point of no return, after which you should either lose your mind completely or finally understand what is going on. And while I still have a choice, I should pick the second option. I slowly headed back to the bus. Of course it was scary, but I'm not likely to find an answer in the fields or the woods. And this wretched bucket of bolts is the only kind of link that I have with the real world. I am stuttering over so many words today. I should carefully scout the area. A brick wall and its gates crowned with a Sylvanok sign. Pretty sure that's how you say it. Sylvanok. I don't know. I'm probably butchering these words. Statues of pioneers standing on either side, and the road sign nearby showing the bus route number 410. Oh, Sylvanok means outlet. Oh, that's cool. The trip's taking a bit too long today. I smirked. A person may start acting inappropriate in extreme situations. Something like that is possibly happening to me now. This place didn't look abandoned at all. No rust on the gates, no damage to the walls. Sylvanok. What could have a name like that? Judging by the pioneer statues, it could be a kid's summer camp. Moreover, it appears to be open. Of course, the simplest explanation, logically speaking, explains nothing at all. The strange girl, the altered bus, summer, the pioneer camp. Thousands of theories went through my mind instantly, from alien abduction to lethargic sleep, from a hallucination to a time and space shift. None was worse than any other, but there was really no way to pick a single one. Then it occurred to me. I can try to make a phone call. I took out my cell phone and dialed the first number from my contact list. No reception. But instead of signal strength bars, the screen was showing a thick cross. Yep. Although there may be no signal in such a remote place. Though I cannot be the only one who came here. Buses don't drive themselves. I examined the bus from all sides to make sure it wasn't a hallucination. You were just on the bus and you think it's a hallucination. Alright, good job. Bits of dirt on the bottom, some rust here and there, faded paint, and worn out tires. No, this is definitely a very ordinary Icarus. Yeah, exactly the kind of bus which takes you to a place beyond your understanding if you carelessly fall asleep. I gave a nervous chuckle. It came out by itself, sporadically. Because this wasn't the right place or time to laugh. But where on earth is the driver? I cautiously sat down on the curb beside the bus and started to wait. My patience didn't last long. My anxiety seemed to have reached its peak. Now I started to slightly go mad. In such a situation, anyone would have probably felt something similar. Aliens and parallel universes were gone from my imagination, leaving only void and darkness. Is this how everything will end? How my life will end? But I wanted to do so much. There were so many things I had no time for yet. He had all this time. He was literally complaining about having a really boring life and not doing anything. And how he's saying that he wanted to do a lot of... Okay. I was overwhelmed by the idea. This was definitely the end. But why? It's not fair. Surely I'm no worse than anyone else. God, why? And then he falls asleep again. Tears were burning my eyes unbearably. Oh, okay, he was crying. I curled up and started rolling in the grass. Very mature. Why? What did I do? Why me? But my cries were only heard by the speechless statues of the pioneers and a bird on a tree, which immediately flapped its wings and took off, crying about something in its own bird language, as if laughing at the idiot who dared to interrupt its after-dinner nap. As I left breathless from weeping, I was left breathless from weeping, and just lay quietly, sobbing occasionally. After a while, I managed to pull myself together. My mind cleared up a bit, as if terror and the fear of death gave me a little break. All in all, if someone wanted to kill me, what is all this for? It doesn't look like an experiment either. If this is just some crazy coincidence, then there's probably no threat. Anyway, for now it seems there's no danger. The panic was soon gone. Of course the blood was still pounding in my temples and my hands were still shaking, but at least I could think clearly now. Right now, there is nothing I can really change anyway. So no matter how much I think or how mad I get, it would only make things worse. Until some actual facts appear, there is really no point in making guesses. In any case, I won't learn anything by lounging about here. This camp, if of course it really is a camp, looked like the only place where people could be, so I decided to go there. And hardly had I reached the gates when a girl came out from behind them. It's a person from the bus, wearing a pioneer uniform. My logic didn't let me down this time. Then again, a pioneer uniform in the 21st century. And then again, a girl here. I froze, unable to take a step. I felt very much like running away. Running as far away as I could from this place. Far from this bus, gates, statue, and far from this bloody bird with its siesta. Just running. Free like the wind. Faster and faster. Waving to the planets passing by, winking at the galaxies, becoming a pulsar ray, and turning into vegestial radiation, running to face the unknown. Run no matter where, as long as it is far away from this place. Meanwhile, the girl came closer and smiled. I could not help but notice her beauty, even though I was trembling with fear. Human instincts work independent of consciousness, and while only 5% of the brain is responsible for cognitive processes, the remaining 95% are always busy sustaining life, quote unquote, and in particular ensuring stable functions of the hormonal system. I desperately wanted to get less complicated and stop thinking in formal quotes from the encyclopedia, though my thoughts appeared one by one, being stupid, out of place, as if taken from an internal monologue of the hero of some junky undercover crime fiction book. A pretty Slavic face, long braids that looked like 2 armsfuls of fresh hay, and blue eyes you could drown in. Hi, you must have just arrived. I mean, go well with the character if I didn't reply, but I'll reply. Yeah. Alright, then. Welcome. She smiled broadly. Strange. It looked as if I had just a normal girl in front of me. Ah, I shouldn't have returned here. The woods and fields seemed better. But what shall I do next? Try to speak with her as if she was a human? Or run away? Or what? The blood was pumping unbearably in my head, tearing it apart from the inside. A little bit more, and the poor pioneer girl would be splattered with the gruesome contents of my skull. Bit gruesome? What's so funny about that? The girl looked me over. It sent shivers down my spine, and my knees started to tremble. Nothing. Great then. Great? What's so great about that? Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. To hell with it all. Forget about the bus behind me. The fact that it is winter yesterday and summer today. I wanted to rip off my itchy sweater and just accept that all this is actually happening. Everything is as it should be. All this is for the best. Would you happen to know? You should go to our camp leader. She'll tell you everything. Look. You go straight ahead to the square, then turn left. You'll see several small cabins. She pointed at the gates as if I knew what was behind them. Well, you can ask someone where Olga Dmitrievna's cabin is. I really don't want to say that again. That name is a patronymic. I'm not even gonna try. Never mind. Got it? Of course I didn't. Well, I've got to go now. The girl waved her hand at me and disappeared through the gates. It seemed as if to her I was something ordinary. And all this show with the bus and the travels while awake or asleep were troubling only to me, while everything here is just the way it is supposed to be. Camp leader, pioneer uniform. What? Are they doing a historical reenactment here? I hope I won't find Lenin standing on top of a armored car on the square. But even that would not surprise me right now. After standing alone for a while, I headed into the camp. A mere 50 meters ahead, a small one-story house popped up on the left side. The sign near the door said clubs. I was about to come closer when the door suddenly opened and a short girl wearing a pioneer uniform came out. Her pretty face gave me the impression of one suffering for the fate of the whole of mankind. The fate of the whole mankind with a truly universal sorrow. I really cannot speak. As soon as she saw me, the girl froze, as if frightened. I froze too, considering what was the best to do, to approach first or wait until she showed some initiative. Or maybe run away after it all. Although this last option was constantly being suggested only by my self-preservation instinct. Or, at least that's what I like to believe. Not the worst human instinct, but far from the most logical. If this instinct played poker against deductive abilities, the outcome would be predetermined. And those deductive abilities, or at least their semblance, were hinting to me that there was no need to be afraid of this girl. Suddenly, somebody jumped out of the bushes. A girl wearing a bright red t-shirt with USSR written on it. Such a perfect reproduction of the age. She looked quite short from a distance, and was probably younger than both pioneer girls. The one at the gate and this girl in front, and this girl at the door of the clubs. At last, I decided to come closer, but the USSR, as I called her in my mind, jumped towards the first girl and started telling her something while wildly waving her arms. The other girl, in turn, seemed confused and lowered her gaze, remaining silent. I would have probably continued to observe their amusing dialogue, but the USSR suddenly pulled something out of her pocket and started waving it in front of the first girl's face. That face, though. This something turned out to be a grasshopper. Eee. I don't even know why I tried to do that. It was bad. The first girl squealed. She must not be too keen on insects, as she instantly rushed off towards the place where Lenin presumably made his speech about the workers' and peasants' revolution. That is to say, towards the square. The USSR glanced at me, grinned playfully, and dashed after her. Not a bad start to the day. I have absolutely no clue where I am. Besides that, there are some kids here role-playing as pioneers. And as far as I can tell, this place is located thousands of kilometers away from my home. It might even be a different reality. And this was indeed a reality. I mean, everything around me seemed so real, if a little embellished, that I was starting to think that, in fact, my previous life could have been just a dream. And what am I supposed to do now? I was picking at the cracked paving stones with my shoe and stared aimlessly at the closed building. Just a few more seconds before I have to come up with some decision. That's when I recalled myself rolling on the grass, weeping. I cringed in disgust. Perhaps it's another instinct. When all energy for whimpering and self-pitying is used up, the body either goes into hibernation or mobilizes its reserves. Mine seemed to have chosen the second option, because out of the blue I found determination to figure out what was going on. And in order to do that, I had to act like a human, to maintain the dignity of a representative of my own world. I followed the path to the left, on the right side of which stood small cabins, apparently the homes of the local pioneers. Actually, I looked quite cozy from the outside. Even though I was born in the Soviet Union, I had never been part of the children organizations, neither the pioneers nor even the younger October children. I imagined the daily life of a typical pioneer camp a bit differently. Huge barracks with long rows of metal bunks, wake-up call at 6 o'clock, played by a siren, 1 minute to make your bed, then join the formation at the square drill. Or wait, could I be confusing it with something else? Suddenly something struck me on the back. Was it a person? What the hell am I saying? I staggered but remained on my feet. Turned around and prepared to fight heroically for my life. But all I found was another girl standing before me. My mouth hung open in surprise. Pick your jaw off the ground. I closed my mouth. The same pioneer uniform, but the way she was wearing it, it looked, let's say, provocative. Like all the girls I had met here before, this one was rather cute. But her overly arrogant expression killed any desire to get to know her better. New here, are you? Fine, see ya. She threw a threatening glance at me and walked past. That was good conversation skills. I waited for the pioneer girl to turn at the corner. Who knows what else she might have been up to. The most interesting thing was that even this hostile girl seemed completely normal to me. She did not give the feeling of some deadly danger. Except maybe the danger of getting punched in the nose. At last I managed to make it to the square. There was no linen on an armored car, although one could easily expect something like that after all this had happened. I want to see linen on top of an armored car. That'd be cool. Instead, however, a monument to a certain comrade towered in the middle of the square. The letters on the pedestal read Genda. Must be some big figure in the party. There were some small benches at the side. Quite pleasant here. Where did that girl tell me to go? To the left or to the right? To the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. And why am I going there anyway? Alright. I decided to pretend to be normal. So, to the right. Wrong way, dumbass. Through a small grove. I came out at the pier. I must have taken the wrong turn. Hey, wrong way. I turned towards the voice. That first girl stood before me. Now what did I tell you? Take a left at the square, wasn't it? She had changed from her pioneer uniform into a bikini. No, I think I took the right turn. Oh, I still haven't introduced myself. My name is Slavia. Actually, my full name's Slavania, or Slavana, but everyone calls me Slavia. So you can too. Yeah. I still felt a bit confused, so I could not come up with more meaningful answers. And what's your name? It felt like she could see right through me. Yeah. Simeon. Simeon, I don't know. Nice to meet you, Simeon. Alright, I'm almost done here. Can you wait here a minute? I'm going to change and we'll go to Olga together. Agreed? Agreed. After this exchange, she ran off, and I sat on the pier and let my feet hang into the water. I was wearing heavy winter boots, but in such weather, there was nothing wrong with getting my feet wet. Furthermore, it let me cool myself a little. Looking at the river, I was brainstorming and processing everything that has happened. If this is some kind of conspiracy, it's a weird one, even too friendly at times. No, it really looks more like a random event. Some entirely incomprehensible random event. Shall we go? Slavia was standing beside me, dressed in the pioneer uniform again. Let's go. I've been here for a very short time, but of all the people I've met, she looks the least suspicious. However, this fact is already suspicious itself. We walked to the square. The USSR girl and the girl who hit me on the back were there, chasing each other. Is that some kind of game they're playing? Yulana, enough running. I'll tell everything to Olga. Aye aye, Captain. I decided not to question Slavia for a while about what was going on, or the local residents. Better meet with this mysterious Olga first. Sounds like she's the boss here. We walked past the rows of almost identical cabins, some of which looked like fat beer barrels, while others looked more like household sheds. Finally, Slavia stopped in front of a smallish one-story cabin. It looked like an artist's painting. The faded paint, chipped here and there with age, was sparkling in the sun. The window shutters, slightly ajar, were swaying almost unnoticeably in the wind, and huge lilac bushes were growing at the sides. It seemed as if this ramshackle hut was drowning in a storm of purple silk and the lilacs, like some elemental force were inexorably destroying the troop leader's house. What are you standing around here for? Let's go. Slavia snapped me out of my daydreaming. And stop teasing Lena already. Okay then. Rena? Rena. Sounds like there's someone inside. Indeed, a moment later the door swung open and Yulana ran out and dashed past with the same mischievous grin. The pigtail girl came out next. Don't let it bother you, Lena. So her name is Lena. Gotta be thankful it's not Rena, at least. But I don't. Instead of finishing her sentence, she blushed and quickly headed towards the square. For some reason I felt like turning and following her with my eyes, but Slavia said, "Come." We entered the cabin. Inside it looked something similar to what I imagined. 2 beds, a table, a couple of chairs, a simple carpet, on the floor, a wardrobe. Nothing special, but at the same time it felt homelike and cozy, although this room was almost in the same state of disorder as my own flat. I just realized how disturbing that poster is. Oh my god. I would hate to have that poster in my room. It'd creep me out so much. The girl standing near the window appeared to be about 25 years old. Nature had obviously gifted her with a pretty face and a good body. At least one thing can keep you happy in this pandemonium. The locals are beautiful. You're finally here. Excellent. My name is Olga. I'm the camp leader. Nice to meet you. I'm Simeon. I decided to talk as if I wasn't surprised by anything that was going on. She came closer. We've been expecting you since early morning. You've been expecting me? Yes, of course. And when does the next bus come? And why do you need it? Yeah, right. Why do I need it? Guess I shouldn't ask direct questions. The people here may react to them quite unlike how I'd prefer. And I doubt I'd get any answers. No reason, just curious. By the way, where are we exactly? Our mailing address, I mean. I wanted to send a letter to my parents, to tell them I got here fine. For some reason, I had the desperate idea that if I played along, I would find something out. I am going to save. Oh, but your parents called just half an hour ago. Sent their regards to you. Now that's a surprise. So, can I call them? Because I forgot to tell them something before I left. No. She gave me a sweet, spontaneous smile. Why not? We don't have a phone here. You just called them. Then how can my parents make a call to here? Exactly. I just come back from the district's central town. I talked with them there. Ah, so that's how it is. And can I somehow get to the town? No. She kept the same smile. Why not? Because the next bus only comes in a week. I decided not to inquire how the troop leader managed to get there and back. I would get no answers anyway. All this time, Slavia was standing next to me and seemed to find nothing odd in our conversation. Oh, we need to find a uniform for you. I've got absolutely no desire to put on pioneer shorts or to wear the ridiculous red neckerchief. However, wearing winter clothes in summer isn't a great idea either. Right, thank you. I wonder if I'm the only one here who finds it strange that someone's wearing a coat and winter boots in such heat. Rightio, I'll be off then, and you can get yourself acquainted with the camp. Don't forget to come to dinner in the evening. Having said that, she walked out of the cabin. No, walked is not the right word. She rushed out. I ended up alone with Slavia. I must go too. Got things to do. Take a walk, look around the camp a bit. See you in the evening. If there was no threat or catch to this, then this reality, as embodied by Slavia, becomes more and more appealing. I think I am actually going to save it there. And that'll be the end for this video. Yeah. Everlasting Summer is free on Steam. Just look it up. Visual novel. So far it's pretty good. Not gonna lie. And I guess you'll see people's later or something.